Chat, since you guys wanted to have your mornings ruined, I figured I'd be the one to do it. If you didn't see yesterday, there was a bunch of Pokemon leaks that came out, and there's a good amount that are good, and I'll start with the good. Then there's some horrendous ones, like Typhlosion is a half-human predator, and I don't mean like hunting. So this came out last night, and it's a summary of every leaked related to future Pokemon projects. So I feel like this is like some of the more good. Get out of here. Legends ZA was originally planned to release in 2024. Sounds like that might have changed. It will have a featured Mega Zygarde and a Mega Zaora, which is cool as fuck, and is in current development for the current Switch. My guess is it's going to be January or February 2025, because that's when Legends Arceus came out. Yesterday we went over a bunch of like the lore apparently of like the start of Pokemon, and I said in that more was going to be discovered as they go through the over a terabyte worth of stuff. But this isn't the best part. We'll just blow through this. Pokemon Gaia, codename for Gen 10, 2 versions, K and N, which are Japanese names. The main theme will be the island exploring in Archipelago. Oh, so when we read that thing yesterday, we were talking about the anime and how they were doing island hopping. I thought they were talking about Alola, but apparently that'll be the next anime probably too. In development for Switch 2, but a version for Switch 1 is also being tested. Pokemon Synapse, codename, new multiplayer Pokemon game, collaboration with ILCA and Game Freak, has been described as Splatoon-like, not an MMO. TV and film, Project Bauer, Movie 24, in development since 2021, current status unclear. Will be a fresh start for the movie universe with a new protagonist, set in Kanto with the original 151. Main mythical will be Mew and directed by Konbun Shinzu. Pokemon or Project Reload, new original TV anime, 12 episodes of 21 minutes, animated by Studio Corrido. In development since 2022, current status is unclear. And then we looked at this one yesterday. We already covered it. The Great Detective Pikachu, so it's another movie from it. And Project Discovery, Netflix live action, 8 episodes for the first season. Up to 5 seasons are being considered with no more details available. This is just like all the upcoming stuff that's so far been discovered. This isn't the horrible stuff. And I'm going to be grabbing this from various places, but let's start with the most horrifying for me. The leaks really go from Zigzagoon to Typhlosion is a what? And it's a cute little Zigzagoon. And then this. And let's open it in another tab. And this isn't fan fiction. This is from the data leaks. The theme: the relationship between humans and Pokemon, human-like ways of thinking. Long ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was unclear, there was a village somewhere. One day, a girl from that village went into the mountains to gather firewood. She was found well-dried, deadwood deep in the forest, so she kept going in. Before she realized, the sun was setting, and she had lost her way. Around her were the droppings from a Typhlosion, which made the girl anxious. Just then a man appeared from the other side of the forest. His face didn't resemble anyone from the village, but he was very handsome. The man said, "You must be lost, right? I know the way down the mountain, but with your pace, it would be midnight before we get there. I'll take you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you rest at my place tonight?" The girl had no choice but to agree to the man's suggestion. The man took her hand and began to walk. As evening fell, they arrived at a large cave. "This is my home. You must be hungry, right? Wait here." Saying that, the man went outside the cave. After he left, a red light shone from far away in the mountains, and there was the sound of trees swaying. Before long, the man returned, carrying many berries. He said, "Eat this. Then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The next morning, when the girl woke up, the man was still asleep. She honored their promise and stayed lying down, waiting. Before long, she fell back asleep. She was awakened by the man's voice. When she looked outside, the sun was already setting. "Today, we'll eat green berries. Wait here." With that, he went out of the cave. After he left, the same red light shone from far away, and the sound of trees swaying echoed once more. By the time the sun had set completely, the man returned carrying the many green berries, and he said, "Eat this, then let's sleep for the night. Even if you wake up before I do, don't look at my face." The girl expressed her concern that her family would be worried and that if she wanted to go home soon, The man yawned widely and tapped her on the head. At that moment, she completely forgot about her family and home. The two of them ate green berries together and fell asleep. It gets so much worse. The same routine continued, with them waking up when the sun had set, the man going out to gather berries, and the two of them eating and sleeping together. Eventually, the girl realized the man was a Typhlosion. As winter approached, so this has been weeks now apparently, the Typhlosion dug deeper into the cave and said to the girl, "Go and gather wood for firewood. Break off the branches from the higher parts of tall trees." The girl tried to do as the Typhlosion instructed, but the tall trees scared her, so she could only climb the shorter ones. When she brought back some branches, the Typhlosion said, "That won't do. If it's not from higher branches, humans will find us." When snow began to fall, it gets worse. When snow began to fall, the two of them lived in the depths of the cave, mostly sleeping. There was plenty of food. Occasionally, they would wake up, eat, and go back to sleep. One day, when she awoke, the girl was holding a child. After several days and nights passed, the Typhlosion said, "Your father is looking for you, but you are my wife, so I can't return you. I will have to fight him. I will have to fight him." What? Why does this exist? Why does this exist? No, seriously, why does this exist? It gets worse. The girl pleaded, "Please don't do that. Don't kill my father. How can I live with you if you kill my family? You are a good person, so please stay here with me and sleep." All right, let's stay here and sleep. The next night, the Typhlosion woke the girl and said, "Your father is close by. Go and see." What did I just join to? These are some of the leaks. The official leaks from the official data breach for Game Freak. This is not fanfiction. This is taken right from the fucking source. These are stories or whatever that was made up at some point by the actual creators or people who work on the games. When the girl went outside, a snowstorm was raging. She climbed a low tree and broke off a branch. She returned to the cave. The Typhlosion was singing a song she never heard before. "You broke off a branch, didn't you? Soon your father will come here. I'm going to do something bad to your father. If I'm killed, take my eyes, my voice, and my heart. Build a fire at the spot where I was killed and burn them. And while they burn, sing this song until the fire goes out." The girl said, "Please don't do it. Don't kill my father. If anyone is to be killed, let it be you. Goodbye. We will never meet again." Why does this exist? With those words, the Typhlosion went outside. After a while, and there's other stories, and they're like this, by the way. After a while, there was a loud noise, and when the girl looked outside, she saw her father had killed the Typhlosion. She rushed out and said to her father, "Father, you have killed my husband. I have been living with him all this time. He was my husband. Please give me my husband, the Typhlosion's eyes, voice, and heart." The girl built a fire at the place where the Typhlosion had been killed and put his eyes, voice, and heart into the flames. She sang the song the Typhlosion had taught her until the fire burned out. The girl's father built a small hut on the edge of the village for the girl and her child to live in. Eventually, spring arrived. The young men of the village often teased and tormented the girl and her child. It became worse over time, and one day they tried to drape a Typhlosion's pelt over them. The girl returned home and pleaded with her parents, "Please tell the villagers to stop teasing us. If they put that pelt on us, we will surely become Typhlosion. We are already half Typhlosion as it is." Despite the parents' pleas, the villagers did not listen. In fact, they found it even more amusing. It eventually draped the Typhlosion's pelt over the girl and her child. At that moment, they howled and loudly and vanished into the depths of the forest. The two were never seen again. And so people came to understand Typhlosion are half human beings. Maybe Mewtwo was onto something. What the f? Why does this exist? Like, there's a difference between really weird fanfics, you know what I mean? Like, people fucking write crazy shit. And this was at someone's computer at an official server for the actual creators of Pokemon. Did she lay an egg? Oh, so you want to hear more? Because there's another one. This time about Slackoth and Slacking. And it's just as bad. No, there is no Vaporeon one. From what I've seen. Vaporeon got by. Hypno got by. Lopunny got by. But Slackoth, Slacking, Octillery, Typhlosion? They didn't slide. The original sin based on the current Pokemon world. Again, this is not fanfic. This is straight from the motherfucking source. In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred. Hang on, I think I'm covering it a little bit.
The Vigor in Vigoroth gonna have a new meaning with this one. Yep, that's it. The internet was a mistake.
Those are phenomenal back-to-back TTS. No, you thought you had enough? Nah, it's not over yet. In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day, they were bored, so they would often catch Slackoth living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoth, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes or cutting off their ears. One day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slackoth hanging from a tree. She climbed the tree to catch it, but slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much, and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her, and attacked her when it saw her. The woman lost consciousness. No, this is not fanfic. This is from the data breach. This is stolen. This is taken right from the fucking source. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lay a clear lake surrounded by trees, for which many Slackoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slackoth hanging from the trees were corpses. They were the very Slackoth that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slackoth were throwing these corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slacking appeared. This Slacking also had a torn ear. The woman realized this was the same Vigoroth that she had seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint once more. When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her house. It gets worse. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child. It was a Slackoth. She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slackoth. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slackoth sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slackoth, it gets worse, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoth, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slackoth's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surrounding it suddenly opened up. They found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were many Slackoth and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake, holding the lifeless body of the Slackoth. She threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat Slackoth as companions, just as she had in her final moments. They get worse. There's more. There's apparently a Lapras one, and I saw someone type earlier that there's 5 other Ursaring stories. There's a ridiculous amount of them. Yeah, apparently. There's apparently a ridiculous amount of them. And also, there's transcripts, like actual transcripts of every meeting, every major meeting they had around the anime, games, etc. over the years. All of that exists. Who was speaking? Who brought up what ideas? What were they talking about? All of it. It's literally all out there in the open now. So the last one I will scar you with today will be this one, because I had to read this too, so now you have to read it too. Theme: the collapse of culture and relationships. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female octillery washed up on the beach. It gets worse. The man had relations with the octillery and then threw it back into the sea. It gets worse. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same octillery again. He once more had relations with it and threw it back into the sea, as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the octillery spoke to him. I cannot come to you, but I will deliver our child to you. It is our child, yours and mine. Why does this exist? Why does this? You know what this made me think of? You remember? Did you ever play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? In Mystery Dungeon, there's the fucking Gardevoir that comes to you in your sleep. Is that what inspired this? Did they inspire this story based off of this, or the opposite? Did they inspire that off of this? Because those two things are way too fucking similar. The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the octillery. There he found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all had very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people. As he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedo suddenly leapt into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword lying on the ground. It was a shape that he had never seen before. It was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. So, they're dancing on the beach with swords with Sharpedo. They were killing the Sharpedo. But it's in they frame it in the Pokemon way, where it's like they're dancing with the sword. No, they're not. They were hunting them. They're all trying to kill them. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an Ursaring. He tried slashing at the Ursaring's mouth with the sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed the Ursaring's eyes, and they were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the Ursaring's chest, and the Ursaring died effortlessly. That day, the young man killed 30 Ursaring. After that, he always carried the sword with him, playing by injuring the Pokemon he encountered or cutting off parts of their bodies. What in the fuck is this? Thank goodness there's ads. I've never seen chat so excited for ads in my entire life. What? These stories are twisted. They're not even like crazy. They're actually legitimately twisted. One autumn, while the man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an Ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly Ursaring lying down. The elderly Ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den one after another, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all the people had scared faces, and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting among themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly Ursaring lying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. When spring arrived, the elderly Ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a Wailord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You will leave the sword behind and bring a witness. Why did you do such things? Cutting faces and slicing off noses." The elderly Ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large Wailord. Nearby on the beach was a Teddiursa. When it noticed the young man, the Teddiursa hid in the forest, and a large Ursaring came out in its place. As the Ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck, and so he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed the Ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the Ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing on top of one another. The villagers went back and told others what they had seen. How many gifted to get you stopped talking? 20 gifted. Why? What? E, thanks for the 10 gifted. Carnage, thanks for the 10 gifted. No Bunga, thank you for the 5 gifted. Damn, you guys were quick with that. You guys were quick with that. Fair enough. All right. I won't say no more. We'll end it there. All right. That's just some of the stories that are coming out of this leak. I'm sure there will be more in the next few days, but chat has spoken. I got the gifted. I must now stop talking.